Welcome to the Divine Feminine Revolution podcast, where women are magical and empowered. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Monday, psychologist turned transformational feminine business coach. This podcast is for you if you want to prioritize your own pleasure, face your fears, and manifest your desires. This podcast is sponsored by the Fearless Feminine Academy, where I teach women how to turn their trauma into their superpowers. My goal is to show women that we can heal our world by creating time and financial freedom by doing whatever the fuck we want. Are you ready for the divine feminine revolution? Let's get vulnerable and go deep. I'm so honored that you're here. Hey everybody. So I'm welcoming the awesome Jessica Lee. And so we're here to talk about the fearless feminine archetype. So first I'd like to kind of just let you brag on your sweet self and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So hi everyone, I'm Jessica Lee. I am a camera, video, and visibility coach. So essentially what I do is I work with women entrepreneurs to get powerful and authentic on camera, make higher quality videos, and get their asses fully vocal and visible. That is what I do. Brag it up. I am in a program right now. I'm having my own program right now called Lights, Camera, Shine that is filled with the most amazing women. We're having some great breakthroughs. What I love about my work is what most people don't realize is that getting on camera and having not only camera confidence, because some of my clients are already confident on camera. That's not what it's all about. Not only getting confident on camera, but becoming captivating and powerful on camera is so connected to any kind of voice or visibility blocks. And a lot of people do not realize that. And that's why I'm excited to talk to you today, because there are so, even people who feel like they're confident on camera still have resistance to showing up on camera. So they'll make a video once and then, or they'll even go through, a streak where they're doing it every day, and then we won't see them on camera for a long time. And all of that goes back to having a voice or visibility block. For example, what I mean by this is, other ways that it shows up for women are things like people pleasing, perfectionism, indecisiveness. If you have any issues setting boundaries, that is an issue with using your voice, et cetera, et cetera. So
In there,
yeah.
that I've been guilty of all of those things. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Megan Monday. My background is as a psychologist, and so through that, I literally would talk professionally for a living. I've talked to hundreds of people in audiences and stuff, but I did that self-sabotaging stuff for 10 years before I could make my first video. And so I love that you're niche down in that way, because I think it's so needed. I just had a free live series about from freaking out to freaking awesome lives. And I think so many
True.
people,
Love that title. Yeah.
they're intimidated by the live thing. And I love
Right.
that not only it's about getting comfortable with it, but your whole thing is shining. So tell me what it means to be shiny.
Shining just means being as you as possible. I feel I don't know if anyone is very spiritual, or even if you're spiritual, if you believe in God, but I feel when you are shining is when you are being the most you as possible, and you are completely connected to source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, and you're letting that shine through you because you are completely 1000% in your element, and you stop giving a shit what other people think about that.
And that is the key to total liberation and freedom, right?
Yes.
Yes. And, I definitely have that holistic emphasis myself. And so I do feel in the coaching community, a lot of times we talk about magnetizing. And I remember, I'm an energy healer myself, but I was magnetic. What? What does that mean exactly? So I mean, I think that's what you're saying with the shining. So, like, how do
Did
you
you see
feel?
that word magnetic in my branding, or did you just come up with that on your own?
It's just one of those ones that I think, like, for me, I think about, like, like, everything you just said about, like, your personality shining through, but I think a lot of times, like, the feminine energy coaches talk about, like,
Mhm.
just magnetizing people in and going from that pleasure and ease and whatever, and I think
Yes.
sometimes it's kinda like, "Well, wait, like, how do you do that?" So, any tips on that piece or
I think it's like just so funny. It's that you use that word. I had, another female coach who's just, kind of in our world reach out to me a few months back and just say, I just love your energy. You are so magnetic on camera. And I was like, ooh, I love that word. I never thought about that word before, actually. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I help women do. I help them be magnetic on camera. And how you get there, honestly, I mean, okay, so there's so many elements to the work that I do, but getting to a place where you can be so yourself that you're magnetic on camera is one, doing it.
Mhm. Doing it until it's easy, right?
Yeah. Like, you have to get over the hump of resisting, and you have to get over the hump of doing it inconsistently, and just decide to do it, and to do it regularly. What I have my clients do is mark it in their calendar. I'm making an IGTV this day, I'm going live this day, I am posting a video on YouTube this day, etc., etc. But you have to decide to commit to do it regularly, because if you that is like any muscle, right? Confidence is a muscle, and confidence in any area of your life, and confidence on camera, and like being magnetic is really being uber confident, right? And with anything, it's a muscle, and you have to work it. Like, you have to work it out to get it strong. And then on the other side of that, to really truly be, because this is something that I struggled with for a long time, even after I became a coach, is the visibility and the voice aspect. And that is all mindset work. Mindset. So even when I was like had done so much training for years, and I have a psychodrama theater background as
Oh my
well as
god, I
research.
love psychodrama.
Yeah. And so I have done mindset work my whole life, but I don't know, there was still an element when I was coaching. And I think it's because, and like, yeah, I don't know if it's like all the bro marketing or bro tactics and tools I was being taught about starting a business, but I was not fully myself. Like, there were parts of myself that I was still hiding. And I think that's because I was told, you have to have a very specific niche or niche. I know we all call it,
Mhm.
there's two different pronunciations. And so I was like, well, then I can't really talk about being a singer or a director or an actress, because like, all my people want to know is that I help entrepreneurs, and so I got to focus, and like, I should never share that. And I'm also a Zumba instructor, so I was like, oh, I can never ever put that, that's just like confusing. And I had people telling me this too, like,
Mhm.
no, like, your website's confusing and you just do too much and it's not focused. And I have learned that that is all a bullshit. I call bullshit on all of that. Your brand, you is you. So the more that you can be, the more authentic you can be, and like, just reveal yourself to people, that is when you're going to start attracting more people. That is like the key element, and that is all mindset. Mindset. Yeah.
So, so true. And I think, I've had both. I tend to sort of draw, very like spiritual, like feminine leaders, obviously like fearless feminine. Um, and everything is infused with the bro marketing and it's like overkill, prove it. And I can just say, like, my vulnerable edge, having had like a successful private practice and like a PhD, for God's sake, like, I just thought I'd be able to show up online and be like, hey, I'm here, like, come for me, and it's there really is a building mindset. And when we get visible, like, it does bring up all our fears and insecurities. Like, my first two modules of the Fearless Feminine Academy are dealing with fear and self-expression. So I'm like right with you on that, like, whole like throat chakra thing. So what came up for you when you started like really getting visible?
I mean, I think for me, when I started getting really transparently visible, I don't know, stuff wasn't really coming up for me then. I think it was before. It was like I talked about before, like getting over the hump. So I had a lot of, I mean, just fear. Like all of it boils down to fear. I had a lot of stories that I was telling myself and thoughts popping up that, like I just said earlier, like if I share that I teach Zumba, no one's going to want to work with me because they're going to think I'm all over the place. If I share that I'm also an actress and a singer and a director, again, they're going to just think that I'm all over the place and they're not going to connect with me. And that one is even the funniest one for me because being an actress, singer, and director, and then also teaching it for 18 years is exactly what makes me an expert at helping people get on camera. So it's like, it's funny the lies that you tell yourself to keep yourself safe, you know? So I think that was coming up for me, like, just a lot of fear, but also there was another element where I wasn't talking about also my history with an eating disorder and a negative body image, and then my history with narcissistic abuse. And when I first became a coach, it was really hard for me to decide, yeah, like what my niche was going to be because I'm so passionate about just helping women in general and helping with, like, for a long time I was like, oh, I should be, like anti-diet, body positive culture, that should be my niche, or maybe it's healing from narcissistic abuse. But really, I mean, for what's most fun for me is helping people on camera. And then it was so wonderful to realize that all of that shit is connected. And so it's like, ooh, not only do I get to help people on camera, but I also get to help them be visible because all of that is connected. So I guess also what I was going to say is that what was coming up for me was sharing things like that, not only people thinking, oh, you're all over the place, or you couldn't help me because you're not an expert at just this one thing, but I also had fear of like hurting people or offending people in my family or my exes, because I would be talking about my history with narcissistic abuse. And I think, I mean, I don't think, I know there are so many women who struggle with that. There are so many women who don't share sides of themselves out of fear that they're going to offend someone. And I get that. I mean, that's like where I was forever. Not forever, but for a very long time. And yeah, it takes a lot of, like I said again, like mindset work to work through that and realize that your story is your story, and you are always loved and supported. And if you ever, like F up, that's just a learning experience. That's just like a chance for you to grow, to apologize, to fix something. I went off on a lot there, but I hope
No,
that
that's
answered
exactly
your
what
question.
my background as a psychologist, I
Mhm.
really see a lot of empathic, particularly women, because I think a lot of times we're the targets because we care about people. We want to rescue people. We
Yep.
want everyone to be okay. A lot of times, we end up with narcissists who take advantage of that like kind heart. Um,
Mhm.
and what I've seen in my practice is that those wounds take a long time to heal. And I think above and beyond the narcissistic people in our lives, like we're in a very narcissistic culture. So when we like start to get visible in the ways that start to like out some of these big issues that because of shame we and just because of like people's comfort level we've like swept under the rug. To me, like I had all this baggage around like I'm a psychologist. I'm supposed to be professional. Like, do they really want to hear about like my wounds? But every time I write about something that I've personally either been traumatized by or like ashamed of, or like, oh, I could never talk about this, those are the posts that go viral. And so I think that's my intention with this podcast and with my message is to like really shine the light on people's stories and to say like our trauma makes us, like it makes us strong. It makes
Yeah.
us like able to relate. And sometimes it's like the most beautiful thing that can happen once we've done the work to recover from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have our story. We have all been through shit, and so many of us have experienced trauma. And yeah, I think people are so scared to share that side of themselves, but when you do, Yeah, just like you said, that is when you are really finding your people, because we all help people with what we struggled with ourselves. And when you share those sides of yourself, that is when people that you can really help, that's when you reach them and you connect with them and they're attracted to you and they want to work with you, you know? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Specifically with, like, the body positivity piece, that's definitely something that I've been super, outspoken about. I even, like, did a post where I was, like, at my heaviest weight, and I said exactly what the number was, which is, like, one of those things that, like, women just don't do, and
Mm,
everyone was like, "Oh my god, you're so brave," and it, like, kinda blew up, and I'm like it was almost like, like, crazy to think about, like, why is this so shameful? Why is this so secretive? And so I can imagine that that's, like, one of the biggest obstacles for when people think about, like, getting on camera is I know that kept me, off camera for
yeah.
a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
So, like, tell me any tips or mindset tricks or, like, whatever comes up for you about how, because I think as women, like, to be seen, we're always taking care of everybody else, and
Yeah.
sometimes, like, we're the last to be seen. So to, like, put yourself out there and be like, "Look at me, all of me,"
Yeah.
just, like, super fucking vulnerable.
So I just actually did a post on this the other day about how as women we are just taught to be small.
Mhm,
And I know like we live in a diet culture
mhm,
and that affects everyone, like not just women. But women I think especially are affected by it, and not only are we taught to be small in our bodies, but like, just in everything. Like we should just be like dimming our light. Everything about us should be small. Everything about us should be polite and like we should be a good girl. And that is what we are taught. And again, that is mindset. You get to be big. And that is like your body, your voice, your gifts, your dreams, your goals, your success, the money you make. You get to be big. Um, so I mean tips for that are just yeah, that's a lot of mindset work. Like that's a lot of yeah. I
it's
mean I could share a mindset
mhm,
trick. So what you had said, like that is something that held you back for a long time. That is actually, and I forgot to even say that when you asked me, just because I know there are women who are going to be watching this that can relate. um like I'm an actress and a singer as well, and even like in my coaching business it kept me from getting on camera as much as I mean should have been, who's to say should, but it really kept me and held me back from getting on stage regularly or going on auditions, because when I healed from my eating disorder, I gained a significant amount of weight. And I mean, to the point where people were like asking me, like, is everything okay? Like, is something wrong with you?
mm,
Because they were so used to seeing, like, for, like all almost like the like 15 years that I lived in New York City, like this very, very tiny person. And now I'm like a bigger person. And that was just such a fear of mine of people like, oh my God, like they're gonna think I'm fat. And now I've like completely embraced that word and just like yeah, like my body is beautiful, everyone's body is beautiful, like we're all allowed to be different and we all have different sizes. And if that is holding you back, this is a mindset technique that I do with my clients. It has like really helped me. I call it going down the fear rabbit hole.
mm.
So what I invite you to do is to ask yourself, what is it that you're